Hello and welcome to the Breakthrough Press podcast. I'm Katie and I'm the editor-in-chief of Breakthrough Press.
And I'm Vincent. I'm her deputy.
And today we're going to be talking about the setting up of Breakthrough Press, which is a student publication set up by the digital journalism MLitt students at the University of Strathclyde. So we're going to start by just talking a little bit about the master's programme and why we both chose to do it. So the master's is the MLitt in digital journalism. I chose to do this because I'd worked for a few years in publishing and writing and a little bit of journalism, and I just wanted to solidify my skills and get a bit more experience and boost my confidence above all else. How about you, Vincent?
Well, I've really done about a decade's worth of reporting at this point, and I started out as a print journalist, and I watched the transition. I was part of the transition from print to digital. In fact, my last position, I was the digital correspondent for Malaysia, working for a regional broadcaster. So when I was offered a place to do this MLitt in digital journalism here, one thing that drew me here was that they had an entrepreneurial component that was supposed to be done in collaboration with the Strathclyde Business School. But unfortunately, I was told, just as I was about to fly here, that the program, that particular module had been discontinued for this year.
Yeah.
It's apparently the course, our course supervisor, Dr. Patiash, said that she would be able to make the materials available after this semester. Yeah, she hasn't yet. After this semester, when there was more time to go through the stuff and upload what was not copyrighted or one. Yeah, so that's how I used to do.
We have had the chance to do some outside modules though. I did last semester. I did the digital skills course, and that taught me quite a bit about creating kind of interactive digital content and data analysis. And I've also done a creative writing module. So, yeah.
The creative writing module is this semester, right? Well,
yeah, it's finished now actually.
Yeah. I mean, last semester we had the two compulsory modules, the Scots Law one and producing media. Is it? No, that's this semester, multimedia journalism. So for the optional, I chose this. I think it's a literature course, a literature module on travel writing and queer identity. So that sort of opened my eyes to how there was this undercurrent of like queerness and gender studies, queer studies and gender studies in travel writing, which apparently it's not just because I always had the image of travel writing as someone logging their experiences, what's the sights and sounds in a distant place, and it always felt to me like introducing a place to readers who might want to travel there next time. But turns out that travel writing is more than just tourism related.
I'm just say,
I think this semester's been totally media though.
Yeah. So this semester we have our main project for the module producing media has been to devise and launch a online publication.
Yep.
Which we did, and then we called it Breakthrough Press, and it is a online news portal which focuses on breakthroughs in society. Tech, yeah, not just tech. I suppose that's the first thing that probably comes to mind, but also in social policy and the arts and culture, health, like anything really, and everything. And you can see the variety of content that we have if you go on our website.
But it's not just advances though. I mean, some seem to be advances from the other direction.
Yeah.
Like someone, I think Alex mentioned it earlier, dystopian, our news editor, mentioned the word dystopian advance instead.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on these days. We were speaking about that this morning, how we didn't ever want to be like a positive news site only. Like, just because we're covering breakthroughs and advancements doesn't mean that we can't also cover, you know, sometimes something appears to be a breakthrough, but there's also going to be downsides to it. And we always wanted to take a critical view as well, and not just, you know, stare at positive stories.
Okay, I mean, it's been nearly we set up in January. We've been working on this since January till now. It's nearly the middle of May. How has your experience been as the chief editor of Breakthrough Press? Does this sound like an interview?
No, it's good. I think I could talk a lot about that as well, because it has been a really intense experience. I think I've learned so much, not just about the role of being an editor and being in charge. Before this experience, I'd never really managed people, and I think that's been, for better or worse, a really interesting and formative kind of experience, just like learning the different techniques. And I even did some research myself about sort of leadership techniques, because I didn't really have any experience of that before now. It's been interesting. It's
mixed bag.
Yeah. Yeah, but on the whole, I am glad I did it, because I think I'm a bit of a control freak sometimes, and I think I like to, you know, feel like I've given what I have to offer to something. And I think I'm not sure I would have enjoyed the process as much if I'd been in like a more background role.
True.
I suppose the one thing is that sometimes being an editor-in-chief, it's kind of like everything comes to you, and there's like, you have to be involved in every different part of it, which is something I maybe didn't foresee. I think I thought that I'd be more like focusing on the written content and the ideas of the stories, but there's all sorts of things that come with it.
Yeah, I mean, like podcasts, for example.
Like doing this and just like answering people's questions about, you know, the website or the design or the social media or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a lot of nitty-gritty details that you needed that we had to get like consensus or agreement on. But yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the actual setting up of it, thinking back to the very start of the process, it all started with like coming up with the idea for the podcast, for the publication. Just, we had to come up with a unique selling point, and that could be almost anything. So, yeah.
True. I mean, we cycled through how many ideas? Okay, I seem to be taking more of the interviewer role here, but it's something I'm happy with. Could you recall a bit about like back in January? And I think we actually started work in December, in early December before the Christmas holidays, about we needed to start thinking about like the concept for Breakthrough, which we did not know would be called Breakthrough yet. How was the process like, if you could recall?
Yeah, I think it was hard to come up with an idea, because there's like 15 of us, I think. Yeah, 15 people, all with different interests and backgrounds. And yeah, I remember we all came up with, I think we said we all needed to come up with 2 ideas, and we put them all into a big Google Doc, and then we discussed them on a few calls. And yeah, it was quite hard to come to a conclusion. And then I think we had a chat with Andy, our tutor, and he kind of gave us a bit of his thoughts on our ideas. I think by that point we'd narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 ideas, and he gave us some feedback. And then from there I think we took a vote and just decided, and we thought we came to the Breakthrough idea because we just thought it was the most open, it gave us the most scope for stories. And
yeah, I mean, like if you look at our output now, it's quite varied.
Yeah.
You have some tech stuff, you have a lot of cultural stuff, some dystopian advances.
Yeah. I know. I think I actually am surprised by the variety. I think that was one of the things that a few people said to me early on, like, is this going to be all tech and all science related? And I'm not really into that. And I think I sort of thought that as well, like, how are we going to get around it all being about, like, you know, sciencey tech advances? But actually that's probably minimum of our content.
Yeah, that's not really much. It's not really a lot. I mean, the other thing I guess was that, you know, did any of us have any contact with, like, we don't have the kind of like tech contacts, like say the writers at TechCrunch or Wired or Ars Technica. So this has been a good experience in like building up our contacts in that sphere as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's taught us all a lot about sort of thinking outside the box with stories as well, and maybe looking for like innovative aspects of different stories that maybe it's not obvious, but yeah.
So like before we wrap up this podcast, someone gave the suggestion about like resources. Like, are we talking about a book or website, or are we talking about journalism resources here?
I think just like resources that we found useful through the process.
Sure.
I think there's two that I think of, because that's when we were first starting out the process of deciding the theme. I was looking at a lot of other publications to kind of get inspiration. And I think there's two that I really like, just in general, that I've found quite inspirational. One is a magazine called Delayed Gratification, which is a slow journalism magazine. It's online and in print. And I just really like the idea of slow journalism. And it just gave me quite a few story ideas, and is also very visual, and they use nice illustrations and graphs and things, which is not necessarily something that we've been able to explore, but it's something I like. And the other one is Positive News, which is an online, I think it's called Positive News. Positive News is an online news site, and I know I was saying earlier that we're not all about positive news, but it was just a really good source of inspiration for story ideas. Yeah, those were my two. How about you?
I think for like some of my stories, about half of it was like sourced through personal context. Like, I'm from Malaysia, and one of my friends who's also studying here at Strathclyde for her master's is the general manager for a state-linked company that is involved in sponsoring and helping to develop startups in their home state in Malaysian Borneo, the state of Sabah. So she's helped me with a couple of contacts for stories. And other than that, it's also for resource-wise, other than my personal contacts, sometimes I trawl like the UKRI, the UK Research Institute, I think, the body that's set up to help research and innovation. To help jumpstart innovation and tech development in the UK. They have quite a nice blog that details like whatever advances are out there. And then you have news like if you go to like certain universities like Oxford and Strathclyde also, there are news about what the latest developments that are taking place. Like Oxford recently released their vaccine for certain vaccine for use in Uganda, I think. And like say Strathclyde, you had the recent Tech Fest because Strathclyde University is part of the Glasgow City Innovation District. So it's heavily involved in GCID. So that's why like they had the Tech Fest, the 2023 Tech Fest at the Technology and Innovation Centers conference area. So
yeah,
mine's more on the website. So I think
and I think it's just in terms of finding stories, like I said earlier, I don't think we've really had a shortage of stories, and there is just so much cool, exciting stuff going on in Glasgow as well. And people are so Willie's talk.
But I think time's kind of running short now. It's a podcast. It's not supposed to be a 45-minute interview. So maybe we could post up the links in the accompanying article for this podcast, and maybe we will continue further about Breakthrough's journey in the next podcast episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the next episode we'll maybe talk a little in more detail, because there's a lot to say. We could probably talk about it all day. But thank you very much for listening, and
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoy reading Breakthrough Press.
See you around.
Bye.